on Sunday, I think Sunday 7th of July 2024, on a gloomy, cold day. There's only about 3 or 4 degrees at the moment. There's an easterly wind. I'm here with Trent, who's started fishing already. I'm just getting rigged up. Yesterday I caught a handful of salmon up to 1.5 kilos. I'm hoping that today, being gloomier and with a stronger breeze, we might pick up more fish. Today I'm using the Nobi A6 for surf 1062 heavy. It's the 10'6" rod that can cast jigs from like about 25 grams up to 80 grams. I've got my saltwater Stratic, Shimano Stratic 6000 XG. It's a high speed reel. That's about 112 centimeters of retrieve per handle turn, so it's good for long casts and winding fast. And to start off with, I'm using a Jigging Pro 40 gram tungsten jig, 2 hooks on the head and 1 hook on the tail. So my lure's over sand at the moment. I'm in a sand. When there's a strong current, there's an outward rip heading out here on this side of the reef. The fish jumping just to my left. So when I see that, what I do is I get my lure in as fast as I can, cast beyond where I saw the fish jumping, and hopefully can get my lure to come past where the fish are and catch one. I don't know what I mean, that was a fairly decent sized bait fish, but I don't know, I'm assuming it's going to be a salmon of some size chasing bait fish, making them jump out. Oh, I just had a hit. Just a little, oh, another little hit. Okay, they're little salmon. The lure's too big for them. Yeah, so those were probably 20 centimeter salmon, and the hooks I've got on this 40 gram jig are just a little bit too big for them to get in their mouth. But it's a good sign. That's the first school of salmon I've seen feeding. And if I wanted to catch them, I'd just put on a little 20 gram jig with small hooks. So I've walked up the beach. I'm now over 3 kilometers from the car park. I left Trent about 1.5 kilometers back down the beach that way. And I'm right about the midpoint, so it's about another 3 kilometers up there to get to the point at the eastern end of the beach. And I've seen thousands of fish, but nearly all of them were mullet, and most of them under 25 centimeters, with a few like 25 to 30 centimeters. I had 2 hits from small salmon on the 60 gram tungsten jig, but again the salmon were under 30 centimeters, so they couldn't get the big hooks that are on the lure in their mouth. So now that I've gone as far as I'm going to go today, I'm going to change down to a 30 gram tungsten jig with smaller hooks and see if I can get some cocky salmon in the 25 to 30 centimeter cocky salmon on the smaller jig. Got him. I had a hit and the fish got off, and then he hit again and I hooked him. The one that got off, he jumped. So yeah, when I say hit again, I mean it might be a separate fish. So it's not a bad. It's actually bigger than I thought. It's oh, there's 2 more with it. So there's 3 salmon here. There's the one I've got on the line and another couple. It's really hard to land the fish here, particularly with the small hooks I've got on my little 30 gram jig. So when I pull him up, because the little hooks, they don't go through the bone, they're only in the skin, so very often when you pull them up, the hooks pull out. So, and there's not much in the way of waves. Here comes a slight wave, so I'm going to get him up in the shallows and just try to get a little bit of momentum from this wave here. There we go. There we go. He's nearly 40 centimeters, so he's over 1/2 kilo, and that's bigger than I thought I might catch today, so that's great. Finally seen some surface action from salmon close enough to reach with lures. So about 50 meters out, I just saw a shower of little bait fish, and 3 salmon broke the surface. So I've got a 30 gram green and gold tungsten jig on, so I just cast it out pretty much exactly where they busted the bait on the surface, but I might have been a bit slow getting it there because so far I haven't had a hit yet. Oh, I hooked the leader. Yeah, the waves here, they're really weird. You've got incoming waves and outgoing waves. So while you're jigging, sometimes you get a bit of tension on the line, and sometimes you get the line going a bit slack, depending on whether the wave's coming or going. And it's easy to hook your leader. Oh, I can see bait fish down here. So back near the reef, weren't a lot of really small bait fish. There were lots of little cocky salmon and lots of little mullet, but not a lot of bait fish under 10 centimetres, whereas here I'm seeing a few bait fish under 10 centimetres, but I had to walk like more than 3 kilometres from the car park to reach this point. Okay. It's a very strange day. Like normally a day like this in these conditions I'd expect to be catching heaps of fish, and I've been fishing for 3 hours. I've hooked 2 and landed 1. Well, I hooked 3 now actually. Yeah, I've hooked 3 fish and landed 1. So it's an unusual day to say the least.